Let's pull back. So we're going to end right before 2 because, again, applied guys got to go out. We'll take a quick 5-7 minute break. Then we'll come back, and I'll give you 15 minutes or so as a team to meet, to reflect off of all the 3 days. And, again, what your individual behavior change is going to be, your system you're going to go after. Then you'll report out the last half hour, 40 minutes or so. Everybody good with that? All right, so let's wrap things up. Again, this is also opportunity if I didn't answer a question adequately enough that you want to answer it, ask it again. We'll check in with our flip chart that we had from Tuesday morning, right, with employee development. I haven't talked about Six Sigma, so we can do that quickly. The sustaining, we certainly have talked about with PDCA. Lean high variety, well, you got some of that, right, with the non-routine standard work and things you can do in any organization, right, whether it's high variety or low variety. Okay, so we started the Host and Connery discussion, but again, went back to my slides. So I didn't do this one. So this one was the quality circle training and those teams that you. So it's interesting that all 3 companies we went to have some sort of quality circle. What do you guys call yours? The high performance, whatever that you called that. The team, yeah, the employee problem solving team. That's the deal, right? And then having employees lead those teams that can be certified. So anybody could be a leader of a quality circle as long as they were certified. And what they certified was they went through the 8-step problem solving and knew how to do that. They went through a facilitation to know how to do the agenda and the minutes and how to, again, facilitate a meeting. And then we also how to deal with people and change, some of the JR stuff that John was talking about, the change management. And so one of the exercises I'm going to do with you right now. So you need a pen and paper. We have the pads there at your tables from the hotel. That'd be a good time to use those if you haven't. Everybody needs a pen and pad. We're going to do a quick exercise. Everybody ready? You're going to be timed. So I got to get out my stopwatch. All right. Everybody ready? So what we're going to have you do is write your name as many times as you can in 10 seconds. First, you're racing yourselves, by the way, not each other. Some people have long names, short names. Pen is good. You need a new pen? I just so happen to have a couple.
You have to be able to read it? Signature?
No, it's like you would do a signature of an autograph or a check or something. First, last name, you all good? All right, here we go. Write your first, last name, and I think we're still using cursive most of the time. I know they're not teaching that anymore, but signature, okay. Yeah. We ready? On your mark, get set, go. And stop. All right, so that's round 1. So now draw a line, make a new column, whatever. We're going to do 4 rounds. All right, here we go. Round 2. Everybody ready? Hold on, I got some trigger happy people here ready. I didn't say go yet. All right, so this time you're going to write your name as many times as you can in 10 seconds. However, this time take out every other letter. Go. And stop. All right, there's your round 2. There's round 2. All right, round 3, you ready? So round 3 will be kind of a practice round. We're going to do the exact same thing we just did in round 2. So your name with every other letter out. You'll have 10 seconds to adjust here a little bit. Are you ready? On your mark. Same thing as round 2. Your name as many times as you can in 10 seconds with every other letter out. Hold on, because I've got my reset. On your mark, get set, go. And stop. All right, the fourth and final round. So I will be asking, I won't individually, but as a group, we'll get our plan, do, check, act on this one. So you're going to do the exact same thing you just did on rounds 2 and 3. Your name as many times as you can in 10 seconds with every other letter out. You all good? In 10 seconds, on your mark, get set, go. Stop. All right, all right. How did we do? So again, like we talked about, PDCA, we have to measure right. We can do, and so we had 4 rounds. So our first round could be considered our baseline, right, or benchmark. So what I want to know in round 2, did you get better or did you get worse? So raise your hand if you got worse. No, I'm asking if you got worse. Raise your hand. If you got worse, I gave you half the work. Did I not cut your workload in half? And this is how you thank me? I took away half of your work? So what happened? Was it a Terumo thing here or no? It was change. It was change. And I liked your slide. You know, are we going to predict those things? So we can predict these things, right? When we do change, that's what the little graph is, the change management, right? The cycles, was it forming, storming, norming, transforming, something to that effect, right? That's the storming phase. Round 2, I was at one company, they said, I guess they had the cycles of grief or something. That's the valley of despair or the valley of doom or something, round 2. So round 2 is the key round. Well, because what do your people want to do in round 2? You know, I heard somebody say, why didn't we start with this? Or sometimes I hear, oh, geez, or laughing. Sometimes I hear expletives. I had one time, I'm not kidding, the guy took his pen and threw it down and said, this is stupid, I quit. So what do the people want to do in round 2? Your people back home when you make a change. Are frustrated. So what? And so then what do they want to do? Go back the old way. And that's why the Japanese showed us this, probably because I was griping about a change. So they say you can have a perfectly good idea, cut it in half. But then when you go do it, it's like, oh gosh, oh, this is no, let's go back and do it the old way. So what does the leader need to do in round 2 and 3 and 4? Train, encourage, let's take a practice round, let's do a pilot, whatever, let's offline, right? So to get that repetition, because by the end of, so then you start coming back up in 3, by 4, how many equaled or surpassed their round 1 total? Usually about half. I got a little equal or, and obviously we did round 5 or 6, we would all then get the increase. All right, so anyway, so I just threw that in there because again, we would teach this with the team leaders and the group leaders as a part of that JR type of skills, right, for handling change. All right. Hoshin Connery, so we started on the bus. We talked about top down or bottom up. I stopped and then talked about process or results. And we got that, we got to do both right, but we have to focus. How did I know that trainer who said put luck on my green graph? How did I know what he was focusing on? Was he focusing on process or results? Process. How do I know that?
Because the results are great.
And what? And he was coming out asking me about, so your people will know what you're focused on by how? By what you are going out there and asking them and coaching them and teaching them. So again, your individual behaviors will tell your people lots of things. So we want that to be process focused. And then again, obviously to do then the PDCA, then have the results to check. So in Hoshin, I'll go back to the original question, is it a top-down or bottom-up process?
Top-down plan, bottom-up provider.
Well, we're catching on to the both and, so it's top-down and bottom-up. So what comes top-down in Hoshin? The true north. Who said that? There you go. The direction, the goals, could be the goals. I mean, you heard from Jeff, Japan gave him the goal, October, black. So then what comes bottom up? I tried to give you a little hint with the process and results discussion. So the results come top down, what comes bottom up? Process, how we're going to do that. So again, I had to be taught in my first Hoshin. You know, I came and I forget the exact safety quality, but I came and said, you have the results. And this was our second president said, where's the process? I was like, okay. So I came back with more process activities. And he said, how will you measure the process? I'm like, how will you know, he knew I was confused. I'm like, if I measure the process, isn't it a result then or something? And so he told me a quick story, which helped me. He said, you know, think about it as you're not feeling good, you need to lose 25 pounds. So 25 pounds, is that a result or a process? It's a result. Now you could say losing weight is a process to the health, but we'll say it was a result, the 25 pounds. So again, what most companies do and what I did my first Hoshin was I'm going to lose 25 pounds. And I could even break it down. Well, we'll get 5 this department, 5 that department, or whatever, and 2 by this month. You know, that's not Hoshin. Hoshin is what's the process we're going to use to lose our 25 pounds, and what's the plan. So play along with me here. What process we're going to use for losing 25 pounds? Exercise. Okay, that's a good one. So now we got to talk how. Because if we put in our Hoshin, we're going to exercise more. And I think that was my first type of thing, activity. And that's where he said, how are we going to measure that? So we can't say exercise more because everybody says that January 1st. I think it's January 21st that the gyms are all back to normal. So what type of exercise and how are we going to measure it? That's Hoshin. So again, for time's sake, we can say, what are we going to do? Run, walk, swim. And again, depending on your 5 departments, maybe this year we want to all do the same. Maybe we'll each pick one and do a cycle and see which one. So that's it. So how about walking? Can you all live with walking? All right. So then we got to measure, set a goal. So how many steps? How often? You with me? Because now we can do PDCA. So usually 10,000 steps, they tell me, 5 days a week. You all good with that? So what are we going to put on our scoreboard, our FMDS board? 10,000 steps, 5 days a week. Do you think we will hit that next week? The answer is no. So now we have to do some problem solving. Oh, I didn't have shoes. I didn't have an umbrella. I didn't have a raincoat. Didn't have a support partner, whatever. So we'll do countermeasures. A couple months later, the last 3 weeks, you guys all did it. You did 10,000 steps. Good job. We'll have cake and ice cream to celebrate. And now what? Remember, we have to celebrate. Don't forget that. We have to teach the Japanese that. So now what are we going to do? We're going to increase the steps, 15,000. Anybody else got any other ideas?
Review objective, maybe before.
Review the objective, which means what? Let's weigh somebody else said weigh ourselves. So again, I'm putting this together because that's how he was teaching me. It's like, oh, there's 2 PDCAs happening here. There's the process PDCA, leading indicator, and then the lagging results PDCA. So we did our process PDCA and got that green. Now we got to link to the macro. Because guess what? I have you all step on the scale, and we have gained an average of 5 pounds. You all walk to the Golden Corral every night and back. I don't know. So then we do some more countermeasures, different process. You with me? So that's Hoshin Connery, that's Plan, Do, Check, Act. So that was the example he gave me, literally. So now I could go back and I could set up my safety Hoshin. And then when we linked it to the FMDS, right? So we had the main KPI, and you saw that today, the sub process. So main KPI, safety. What's a good main? So main KPI, again, should be your roll-up. It should be like industry. You can benchmark the industry. It's going to be lagging more than likely. What's a good one for safety? Yeah, incident rate, TIR, whatever, recordable loss time, whatever. I told you mine was not so good, 29 point something. So what's the sub KPI? How do we, so what's the sub is still going to be lagging. And you learn, so now sub corresponds with step 2 in the 8 step. I'll give you a hint there.
Break it down to kind of.
So you break it down. So what are some potential breakdowns for my injury rate? Type of injury. Location of the body, location of the plant, supervisor, length of service, right? That's step 2. You with me? I know this is the last afternoon, but again, I'm linking Hoshin and 8 step. Very powerful. So we broke ours down in assembly, and guess what we found? Carpal tunnel strains and sprains. If it wasn't 80%, it was dang near. It was almost a perfect Pareto. So guess what our sub KPI in assembly was for the next 5 years? Our carpal tunnel strains and sprains. Now body weld, it wasn't that. Body weld had lacerations or burns or whatever. They're working on that. Assembly, I had this to contribute again to the main. So that's step 2. That's where that links. But now we got a leading countermeasure. So what is a leading KPI? So in my weight loss, the weight and the steps, which one was leading? The weight is the lagging. The steps or whatever we just say is your leading. Somebody said one time, it's what leads to the result. I'm like, okay, that helps. Somebody else said, windshield and rear view mirror or something. Rear view mirror is lagging, windshield is leading. So what are some examples of leading indicators for safety? Amount of Gemba walks. We could do that. So I like that. So it's a behavior we were taught, proactive, hopefully preventative. Audits could be audits is another example. Safety observations. But those are good examples. But it also helps me illustrate the point, because when you're doing your Hoshin facilitation, you don't want to just say, well, what are some leading indicators we could do this year? We're problem solving. So doing a Gemba walk is a good example of a leading indicator. Is that going to help my carpal tunnel? No, right? So what is going to help my carpal tunnel? So the leading indicator could also be kind of discussed as countermeasure action and measuring that. The walking was a countermeasure, right, for our weight. So what would be an example of a countermeasure action that we're going to? Ergonomic training. That could be there. A training, you got to be careful. Is training a leading or a lagging? Yeah. So we have so then we have to say, as a result of the training, what action do we want? We could put in there. The training's that's a good example of it. It's like a near miss. Is near miss leading or lagging? Lagging. When we can get to the observation and that prediction that John was talking about, then we get leading. So what else? So did somebody say ergonomic or something? Or Ergonomic training. Okay, so then well, let's carry that through. So what do we want them to do after the training? What do we want to do with that? Yeah, so then you got again where we did an ergonomic assessment on every job. But is that going to help the?
Create a standard.
You got to create a standard and then improve the ergonomic rating, right? You with me? Because you got to be careful on these ones, because you'll get to the end of the year like, well, we finished our training, and they had nothing. There's my daughter and my wife. Well, you got the whole family almost in here. Oh, goodness. I lost my whole train of thought there. Ergonomic. So we're going to train them. We're going to rate the jobs, because the countermeasure could change. Because again, our learning, and I think I mentioned this on the bus, we measured all the jobs and we found the red jobs. First we measured them, and then we said we need ergonomic rotation. We were doing 4-job rotation. I did say this on the bus, but we were rotating from one overhead to the next overhead. And so we came up with this whole thing. I mean, it took a half a year at least, or the ergonomic rotation, but it didn't help us. So then that's when we did the red, green, yellow, and then we tried, okay, you're not going to do more than 2 red jobs a day, no back-to-back reds. And then that didn't work. Then my trainer, I think I told you on the bus, Mike said I recommend no more red jobs. So that was the process indicator. And again, we just took the whole organization globally, but every group had that on their scoreboard, their red jobs. They had, I had a chassis 3 out of 20 or whatever. So then we're working on getting those 3 to green. Took 3 to 4 years. When those reds went away, carpal tunnel down, incident rate best in the auto industry. So that's Hoshin Connery and really FMDS. So the process KPI is really the Hoshin strategic problem solving. Because I tell people, so at our scoreboards, we had the red jobs and rotation, and then the elimination of red jobs. But what if somebody gets cut in assembly today? Do I say, well, we're focusing on carpal tunnel, so here's a Band-Aid. What do we do about that cut? Yeah, so again, we told you yesterday, right? 3 levels of problem solving: daily, system, strategic. Couple hours, couple days, couple weeks, couple months, couple years. So we're still going to do a daily problem solving on that one. We're going to do a root cause, 5 why, get a countermeasure. But what if next week I have like 6 cuts in different parts of the assembly? Now I need a A3. I'll probably do an 8-step and break down where those cuts were, or where on the body or whatever, and to get the countermeasure activity. So my point is, all 3 of those problem solvings need to be going at the same time, right? So when you evaluate your problem solving back home, we said it at all the levels, and then the levels of problem solving, right? So the levels of leadership and the levels of problem solving. Make sense? And when you can do that, then again, you start getting your charts, graphs going from red to green. And then we can improve the goal. All right, so that's, I think I covered most of these slides. So again, we're going to cascade down. This is a FMDS board in a Toyota. People say, oh my gosh, how in the heck can you do all those charts and graphs? And when we did it, it was actually less than it was all over the place. So it's getting them all into one place so that you could watch how they all interacted with each other. So we got safety, quality, productivity, cost, HRD. I don't think I have a zoom in. So the zoom in is main. So it's really only 5 KPIs, 5 main KPIs that we're working on, right? And that's the one we said that everybody's working on site-wide. Then it's got the Hoshin up there. It's got the sub KPI, then the process KPI. And then it's got the 3 levels of problem solving. So it's got, I told you the Hoshin was up there already. It's got the daily problem solving. So Jess, can you remind me to send a registered item out to everybody, a registered item list? That's going to be what we use at Toyota to track those daily problems. Because I know Charlotte, I asked her what the root cause was today. She said, I'm going to find out. And we're going to log that so that tomorrow we make sure we ask her what she found out. And what did they say they started their meeting with at Hitachi this morning? They said it twice. Prior day's follow-up. What'd you find out, Charlotte? That's because they're logging the items. So, and I liked how that was their first item. Because if you don't, then you're already into today's problems and you never get to yesterday's follow-up. So they started with yesterday's follow-up, then went to today. So that's in here. And then the A3s. So there's 3 A3s going, 8 steps on this group right now, 1 for safety, 2 for quality. So again, it's the 3 levels of problem solving, and it's the main, sub, and leading indicator is why there's all those on each of the KPIs. Thoughts, questions? Again, you might not think it's feasible. Again, we started out pilot-wise. This is also how we would delegate and develop our folks, right? So I have a safety team leader for the year, a quality team leader, so I train them. Levi and I talked about that, didn't we? And that's how we develop and delegate to our people. So I'll tell you a quick story here. I think we're okay. So I was promoted to manager after 4.5 years. Art Nemi, actually the same guy who said green, no problem, big problem. So 2 or 3 years later, came back and said, Mikeson, we're going to promote you to manager because we had the new plan. He said, this is not the Toyota way. He said, a Toyota way would be 10 to 15 years to develop manager, but we don't have that time because we're getting a new plant. He said, we want to take time to grow you vertically, grow you horizontally, new areas, different areas. We want oak tree that has big branches, big roots, right? Big vertical, big. He said, unfortunately, you are more like bamboo tree. I took that personally. Said, grown very quickly, vertical, but we have no roots. And he said, but and the storms are coming, and he knew. I had no idea, but he did. So we will. He said, we'll have support, with the trainers to support you through the storms. So the storms he was talking about was when we did our first major model change. Was 5 years into it. So we had all, a bunch of new suppliers and a whole new model. And we were struggling. Now, again, quality doesn't struggle, right? Because we have an and-on. So we had to make sure we were pulling the and-on, but we weren't building many cars. we're nowhere near our ramp-up schedule. So downtime very, very high. And things are not organized. And I remember at one time thinking, who in the heck is running this place? I thought, uh-oh, it's me right now. And I have no idea what to do. So the trainers did help me. But one thing I remember in the meeting, they said, Mikeson, why are you not developing your people and utilizing your people? Because I had 5 assistant managers. And at the time, I was like, I'm too busy to, I'm up. Too many fires, I'm up to my, whatever. Like, we promoted you because you're so good at developing your people. Develop your assistant managers. So the lights went on and took the time, developed assistant manager. I got an assistant manager. This was group leader, but my manager like that got a assistant manager for safety, assistant manager for quality, assistant manager for all the way through. and they went to all the meetings. They handled the PDCA for safety for assembly. Then I could be on the floor working with the folks and the processes and things. So, again, Levi and I had this discussion. Like, I did that out of survival. I was ready to, like we say, to give up our hat or go back to the last role. And so I developed those folks. When I left the company a few years later and had my good going away party, they all were thanking me of how much I developed them and trusted them with responsibility. Back in, I was like, oh. So that's where I said, first morning, developing your people, win-win, right? Because I was doing it out of survival, and they appreciated it, right? Because they were being developed. They had more responsibility. When I got the next promotion, one of those 5 were ready to go. They got promoted. So utilizing the work. So I like John's title. Did he step out? Is he still here? Did you see the title of his company? What? BTP? I was going to quiz them to see if they knew. Business through people. So you've heard me say that a couple times, right? The pillars, Toyota Way, business side, people side. FMDS, manage the business, develop the people. And that's where I said, so I said it on the bus. Toyota would say, we improve our business by developing our people. We develop our people by improving the business. So that's using Hoshin, using the FMDS to develop your people to get those KPIs. Jeff, developing the people to get that into the black by October. We got a group coming back in October, so he said, we're going to be wanting to show you the black when you come back. So we'll see. All right, I think we're about there. This one, actually, I just put up this because this I did with a company outside of operations, and we put and they have the executive level FMDS. Sometimes people call it EMDS, the enterprise-wide, and so they've got sales, product development, supply chain, et cetera, of course, operations, and then so that's how the whole site comes together and then looks. And I remember the CEO saying this, he's like, I had all these graphs and charts, but I never looked at them at the same time and how they were interacting and how they were connecting and impacting each other. He said, so it's helped me, and now it's helped me. They meet weekly, and they go over it, and then it's helped him with his vice presidents to develop them so they have a more horizontal view of the organization, right? And there's also leading and lagging indicators. So we did the leading and lagging like we talked about in here, and then because they brought me in up there because sales, production could not keep up with sales. So we spent a few years, and then he came back and said, now we have excess capacity. We need more sales because we've improved the OE and things. Does this stuff work in sales? I said, I don't know anything about sales, but I know about PDCA. Let's meet with the sales team. So can I know nothing about sales and do PDCA with the sales team? So that's what they did. And I don't have time to go. They did a whole leading indicator with their sales process and starting with the cold call and then the appointment or whatever, and then the proposal and then the contract. They had the whole thing. And then meanwhile, Scotland is calling and telling them they need so many more millions of dollars of sales or of EBITDA. So they had it mapped all the way out. They knew their success rate at each one of those gates. They knew their margins. So they knew how many, they got it down to, they knew how many cold calls they had to do to deliver the EBITDA margin. And the first year, they did not meet it. The second year, they met it with the PDCA. All right, so I hope you're getting the message. This PDCA works if you drive it. So the last topic, standard work for leaders. So again, this is not a standard work for leader class. I'm trying to give you an overview and a high level of all of it. I think, I don't forget who I was talking to, but I heard at a couple companies lately, because it's home, you know, the FMDS goes so well hand in hand with, like we were taught by the Japanese. We got the standard work, we got the scoreboard, now we do the problem solving. So when we go to organization, we do the similar things. And then, but we heard we don't, I don't have, and we don't have time to problem solve.
You don't have enough time to not problem solve.
Yeah, so I mean, so you got big problems if your people don't have time to problem solve. And I love John's thing, you know, pay me now or pay me later on the training. I hope you saw that at Hitachi this morning. Again, before they were in so much need of people so quickly, the first afternoon they were putting them online. 2 in a row, good to go. Because we need them. And then meanwhile, like they said, 20, 30 a month going out the door. So now the next month we need them even quicker because we got more gaps. So so what was the word we said? Slow down to speed up or whatever. So by taking that 2 weeks or that 4 weeks, like they said, which again in operations, I don't want to do that. It's like I can't give you 4 weeks. I need that person now. But they did it, and then they stay, right? So again, sometimes you got to slow down and speed up, do your pilot, but have the discipline to finish up. So same thing for standard work. If you don't have time to problem solve, that's a big problem. So what is the purpose of leader standard work? Let me ask you that. How many of you are doing it? Leader standard work, daily routine, something or other? What's the purpose of it? The why? What's the? Keep them on track, you're on the right ballpark. In order to do what? What they need to do. So the reason I ask you is because the error made that I see is that it becomes a checklist. And there was a certain component of that that we needed to do this Gemba walk or that Gemba walk or whatever. But remember we talked about the role? So you start with your role, and now it's how do we apply our role on a daily basis? And what do we say the role of a leader is to do? Training, coaching, develop people, problem solve myself, right? And teach and coach problem solving. So that's the way it was used at Toyota. So we're gonna do the PDCA, like we said, that role of the team leader and things. So you have to say how much time do you want them on the floor? And then what do you want them doing on the floor during that time? So we had to set standards for group leaders should be on the floor 100% of the time. No more meetings, HR or whoever else, accounting, finance, whatever's calling the group leaders, they need to be on the floor 100% of the time. If you want a meeting, buy them lunch, buy them breakfast or a pizza after. So that the group leaders are on the floor. Now we can go on the floor and say, now how much time do we want them spending on problem solving, teaching, coaching, problem solving? Do you have a standard? If you have no standard, you have no problem. No problem is no good. Thanks, Abe. So I tell people start at an hour. Say an hour a day. And that's where you saw had Aichi Forge. They're doing their 10 o'clock problem solving. So that was a countermeasure that they could say, hey, we're going to be intentional about it and do it at 10 o'clock. I was at one company and we were doing this and we said, go out and find out how much time your supervisor is currently problem solving. So they went out and they reported back. They said, well, we got a little bit of a problem. We got the problem of what is the definition of problem solving? Because we asked the supervisor, how much time have you problem solved so far? He said, I've been problem solving all morning. Well, been 3 hours. Awesome. Tell me about it. I'm glad they asked that question. We've had this part shortage. I had to run across the street to the other warehouse and do this. We had this issue. I had to run over here. I've been on the phone with blah, blah, blah because of this issue. Is that problem solving? That's firefighting. So they actually renamed it and said root cause problem solving. So they said they want to spend an hour a day of their leaders' root cause problem solving. Now they can do their PDCA of leader standard work. Because once you set that goal of an hour a day or whatever it is, do you think you're going to hit it? Say no. Now we got to do our PDCA. What's our countermeasure? Again, some might have a, okay, we're going to, that was one of our countermeasures at Toyota. Every Thursday afternoon, we're having blackout. So no organizational meetings so that the leaders have time to be at the Gemba, to have their coaching, their problem solving. So Thursday afternoon was it. So I could make up a few hours Thursday afternoon if I was. That's leader standard work. And I recommend, again, with companies, if you're starting this, start with your group leader because they're the ones that you've given more work. And of course, they don't have time to problem solve because you have them doing all this other stuff. All right. I think we're about there. Mr. Cho was our first president. Again, we didn't know these people from Adam, but you know, he came in as our first president. And we got to know him and love him. You know, we talk about the two pillars are technical skills and people skills, right? Teamwork and problem solving. He was a student of Tachio Ono, who you saw the picture of on Tuesday. You know, a lot of the American executives were moving to Lexington and the big houses. Mr. Cho lived in Georgetown, joined the Rotary Club, the Lions Club. You know, not everybody was happy about Toyota. The state was, but Georgetown wasn't because it was changed. So he became a member of the community. He was there. Everybody had stories of him there on Saturday, riding his bike around, meeting. So here's his 3 keys to lean leadership. By the way, when he left us, he became the first non-Toyota family member to be on the board to be global president. Then he became first non-Toyota family member to be chairman of the board. So he was chairman of the board when he gave these 3 quotes. So senior managers must spend time at the Gemba. So I hope you got that message. We need to ask why. Why are we asking why? Solving problem, right? Problem solving. Show respect. So what's the biggest way we show respect to our people?
Listen their concern.
Yep, believe them. I'm not hearing.
How can I help?
How can I help? That's good.
Individuals, treat them as
Either
individuals.
shows the individuals and develop. There you go. All of the right answers. Develop was the one that he uses. He's like taking the time to develop your people. He said passing the torch. And he said the way I thank Tachio Ono for him developing me is me developing my people. And then have them pass the torch to the next generation. I had one business meeting with Mr. Cho. That'll be my last story. So it was actually a mid-year Hoshin. The weight loss was like 6 months later with the beginning of year Hoshin with it because they would stay 5 years and then they would go. So I was told you got 20 minutes with Mr. Cho to go in and do your Hoshin update. And I was like, okay. And I was scared to death. We're talking about being nervous on the bus. I was very nervous. And plus, I told you we weren't real formal on our Hoshin, and we didn't have our FMDS yet. And I had thrown it in the file drawer. So I was like coming back, like, what did we say we were going to do? Where are we? Oh, guys. And getting it all caught up and up to date. And I'm like, oh my, we're red here. We're red here. We're red here. Yellow here, red, red, yellow. So we had all reds. I had 1 green and 2 yellows. I'm like, this is not good. So I needed to countermeasure. So I got my assistant staff who's good on the computers. We took the green and we put it on page 1 and blew it up nice and big. Put the 2 yellows on page 2 and then the red in the back. And I thought I could spend 10 minutes on the green, 5 minutes on each of the yellow, 20 minutes, I'm out. What do you think, Abe? A good plan? So I go in and said, we're doing this good, we're doing this good. Mikeson, could we go back to the red, please? Let's go to page 2. We're doing this pretty good, this pretty good. Mikeson, can we go back to the red, please? Let's go to the second yellow. We're doing this pretty, Mikeson, please. This is no good. No, he didn't say no good. Mikeson, please, can we go to red? I'm like, uh-oh, we got like 18 minutes left. He said, Mikeson, we know you're a good leader. That's why we promoted you. My job is to help you. And how can I help you with your problems if I don't know what your problems are? Can we please go to red? I'm like, oh, is that the way this works? I just wasted 3 minutes now? So that was servant leadership in action. And so I used to tell that story, and then I would get the question on how long will our lean journey take? Because I had to also say, you were 4.5 years into it and you were still scared of the red or whatever? Like, that was my first meeting with the president of this company. Yes, I was scared of the red. And so the culture changed. Jeff said it today. What did he say? How long does it take? I use the same number I give. How long did he say? 3 to 5 years. It's exactly the number I usually. And he said the next quote. So I don't know if somebody came back and so he said, because I want to give you permission for patience, but not paralysis. And we have to be persistent, right? So you can't have paralysis, so you have to take action. So that's a good segue to our break, because when we come back, we want to hear what action are you taking, right? So individually and organizationally. All right, do you have evals handing out or?
We are, yeah. We'll get those around.
All right, so we're going to break.
Thank you so much.
Applied Science are gone. Thank you, guys. They told me their takeaways, so we're letting them go. They got to catch 4 o'clock flight. All right, so the rest of us, let's take our 7-minute break. Thank you. See you. 7 minutes, and hopefully you can use a couple of those minutes for the eval. We will. And then if we can transition into, what I'd like to do is 10 minutes. We'll do 12 minutes that you can meet with your team and talk about, again, reflect from the last few days. And what do you, again, I'm not expecting you plan and the thing, but what are you talking about? What are you prioritizing? And if you don't want to do too much, so again, if we were going to look at one thing, what would be when you go back to go after? Meanwhile, individually, you don't have to wait. You can change your individual behavior right now, right? So what's that one going to be? All right. So if you do just that, finish up your eval, and then you can, if you're a single one together, if you want to get at one table or something, just to talk, that's fine. You got it, your team. So you got to get together. We got 2 companies here, I think. You already moved. Good job. Well done. Well done. All right. You guys are going to talk. You're going to talk. Did you have a question?
I guess the quality services.
We've got 38 minutes and 24 people, so we usually do a minute per person and then a minute per company, so we got it covered. All right, so again, each person, we want to hear your individual behavior change goal. And then for each company, one person can let us know what you're talking about and looking at going after. All right. And again, we do this for a couple reasons. One is we want the networking because you'll hear some of you'll be going at the same stuff. So I hope you stay in contact when you're out of here to help each other. With that, I hope you've, again, I know you have made new contacts and new friends. So I hope that keeps going. The other one, if you say a goal out loud, you have a better chance. I think Ben sent me that book from some Australian guy or something. You know how many people set a goal? How many people, like, we're not talking about lean or organization, just people. How many people have set an intentional goal out of 100? I think 16 is what the dude said. I don't know what his research. It was Australian research, but so now that 16, how many actually wrote it down? 5. Out of those 5, actually, how many came back to check that and to adjust, right? PDCA. 1 out of 100. So I think my company statistics are about the same. How many are doing PDCA? So we want you to improve those odds, those percentages that you're doing PDCA, right? So by voicing it, you get your first start. Hopefully, then you'll write it down. Hopefully, you'll come back and do PDCA. So who wants to kick us off? Which table? There you go, Levi. Thank you. You'll go by yourself. So you got to cover both tasks.
So development is probably the biggest thing for me that I want to accomplish. I don't feel like our company does enough development on the front or the back end of either the new hires coming in or the leadership that's in there now. So it's kind of 2 different things that I want to address is the training the team leaders on how to be more problem solvers rather than just firefighters like we do now. Because
another gap. Thank you. So you're talking about your team leaders you're going to work on for problem solving.
yeah, me and I'll take it back to also my counterpart.
Okay.
So we can
So
try
you
to
can
handle
at
all
least
the
spread
team
it to
leaders
your
in the
two
area.
two areas.
And try to actually get the team leaders to be more problem solvers. Try to help to actually fix the problems. Start finding the problems too.
Yeah.
And the second one is starting to train the employees that are coming in. That's why I was so focused on the dojo stuff because we don't do that right now.
Okay.
There's a big gap between what we can do, what I've realized we can do, and what we don't do now. So getting the basic skills, it's difficult in manufacturing. Obviously, people don't just walk in off the street and just happen to know how to use a lot of that machinery. So getting them in, showing them how to operate that kind of stuff without showing them on the job while expecting results has got to be a lot better situation.
So I heard the 2 things. So the one I'm taking more is the system thing is the new hire dojo. And again, I'll encourage you all, but encourage you on that one to do PDCA. And we talked, I forget where, to measure, right? What problem you're trying to solve, whether it's retention or quality. I think you said defects, quality. So where are we now? You put in your dojo and then look afterwards and then do your adjustment, right? Based on that result. So that's your system one. And the individual one is what I heard is that you're going to individually with your team leaders work on training them so that you're not having to do all the tasks and problem solving, that you're delegating and developing them.
Well, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with problem solving as well, but having their assistance in finding the problems and also trying to help to fix the problems that they can help fix will help to take the weight off of me and help to actually get problems fixed
and empower them.
Yeah.
And develop them. Very good. Thank you. You want to, Colby?
I'll go next. Didn't sound like it was
You're
working.
good.
Okay, so before I say this, I would hope that I'm not the only one that thinks this way, or it might make me sound a little bad. But as a leader, I thought what made me a good leader was that I know a lot and that I'm able to solve problems myself. But obviously, that's not the TPS way. What I have found out through this class is that what makes you a good leader is that you teach your people how to solve problems and how to become leaders.
Well, I'm
So
glad
that-
we got this on tape and film here.
That is something I would like to improve on, is sharing my knowledge with our team members and helping them become leaders so that they can be in my position one day or grow further than me.
Awesome.
As a company, I feel like we waste our team leaders' potential. We choose our team leaders based off knowledge and their drive, and once they get to that position, we just keep them there. We use them as paperwork people and break givers. So I would like to start a class to where they focus on the issues that each team member is having on their line. Not mainly to do with production, but whatever makes their job easier. So if they find a problem that would make their job easier, I want them to focus on that, bring it to the class, and then we will go over problem solving with the team members and put that information on the line so that we can incorporate that into our management gimbal walk, so they have the opportunity to present that, and that gives them practice in presenting, and it also gives them practice in problem solving and showing that management actually cares about what they're working on and the issues they're having that make their job difficult.
Hot dog. That's awesome. You both are able to leave. You both have graduated this class. Good job. So Jamie invited us back in the fall, so either August, September, October. So you'll be able to have them report out. Very good. You can speak French.
Yeah, who will translate?
I'll translate.
All right. So what we will bring back home, train everybody to be able to troubleshoot and problem solve. So at every level. So this is something that we want to bring and integrate in our operations. Gamba walk, be on the floor, see, go and see. This is written there. So go and see. And standard work for all leaders.
Okay.
Let's start with leaders, and maybe it will happen on the floor after. But having 5S in our office before it happened on the floor, maybe.
So you're going to set the example as a leader.
Yeah, set the example. So this is something I'm bringing home.
Great. Are you? All right. So you are going to go. Well done.
I'm on the floor, so I don't have power to break out, but I will try to promote the culture, and I will push dojo because we don't have.
So that you can do something about, right? Because you're
Yeah.
the trainers.
Yeah,
So you can, again, same as Levi. So again, you guys can maybe email or whatever, and do PDCA, right? Okay. What problem are you trying to solve? You got your countermeasure. Good deal. You got? He'll translate for you.
It's the same.
The same?
Yes.
I'm going to let you go easy now then. All right. You got to hold him accountable to do the same. Are you going to let him do a dojo?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. As long as you do PDCA, right? Because if you just put in the dojo and it doesn't help, then no good. All right, great. Can we just keep rolling?
What's that?
Yeah, speak up,
No,
because that
I'm good.
one's not for us. That one's for the internet or whatever.
So
Yeah, so you got to speak up so we can hear you, because that's not for the speakers. It's for the.
for me, personally, I had very specific goals in mind coming up here on what I wanted to accomplish or what I wanted to gain from this class. Some of it was eye-opening, to be very honest with you. I thought I was, very good at what I did. And I found out that I'm not very good at what I do.
Well, that's humble and honest.
Well
done.
I found out there's opportunities for for growth on the floor level. I believe that we've done a great job over the last year, really developing a new culture. We do a 7 a.m. Gemba walk every day. We do a lot of the problem solving from our perspective, but we're not allowing, or we're not connecting the dots for the operator level to problem solve on their own. So by doing that, I really want to engage at that level, especially in my position, or Matt's or Phillips or all of ours. It's to engage at that level. Let them know that we're there right next to them. Right. So, when we do come on the floor, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
We're not there to fix a problem, or we're there to work with them.
That's awesome.
That's what I've gained from a lot of this. Right. So, it was good experience. I wish we could have gone into more, on the development side. I'm sure I've asked the same question over and over again, but I'm just looking for a specific answer. So I gained a lot from it. Very appreciative to the time and,
Awesome.
and everything you put into it. Everybody here was great too, to work with and get along with. From my perspective, that's
Awesome.
about it.
Thank you. So, that's fantastic. So I like that work alongside, that partnership, right? Like on the floor. I told somebody else with the leader standard work, you'll know I think we talk about that with the police. We don't want policemen. We want coaches on the leader standard work. And you'll know how you're doing by your feedback from your folks. Are they happy to see you come, or are they happy to see you go, is what I usually. Depends on you. Depends on your behaviors when you're out there, is what it depends on. So if you're out there doing what you said you're doing, partnering alongside, problem solving, teaching, they'll be happy they'll be wanting to see more of you. Great sharing. Thank you.
All right. So for me personally, it's kind of a little bit different. So I interact more on the purchasing side of things of the business. And so really kind of what I took away from this is we do a lot of firefighting. It's constant battles that's happening now. And how do we help the team, start proactively looking at possible, supplier issues, part issues, and being more proactive, right? So the problem solving and ultimately helping these guys out on the floor. That way we know of a issue before it even happens, right?
All right.
So, or have a backup in mind.
So do you have thoughts, or did you talk about what are you going to do differently Monday or next week?
Yeah.
You're going to hit that. Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
All right. So for me personally, I agree 100% with everything that Rick basically said. So, I kind of share a lot of the same thoughts, but like for me personally, because I'm so heavily involved with the maintenance team, and that's the majority of my background. It's the technical portion of it. One of my weakest points is too many times they'll call me, hey, we're having a problem with this. How do we fix that? And I'll just give them the answer. And it's just, it's too easy to just give them the answer so they can go, get it done and get the machine back up and running. I think what I need to start to do is lead them towards the answer so that they can figure it out themselves, get the troubleshooting piece of it, get the problem solving piece of it.
Great.
So for me personally, that's my personal commitment is I got to start to spend more time
All right.
showing, not doing. And then as far as what we're going to implement, on a company level is same thing that Rick was saying, was developing our team leaders, getting the operators and everybody to understand how to help themselves and how to troubleshoot and problem solve. Because right now we're not doing the best in that area. So we only have a few of them out on the floor to even understand how to do that.
Great.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, for me personally, because it's HR, it's really going to be, we have a process, not a standard for recruiting and onboarding. So we're going to create a standard, and we're going to involve everybody that's on this team and a couple of others that are not here, and really develop, like At our company, our employees are on the floor the first day. We're probably not going to do that moving forward, and really invest in
Yeah.
what that looks like and getting them more acclimated before they go out to the floor.
Great.
As a company, basically what Matt and Rick said, starting like Levi said, leads and troubleshooters, teaching them the problem solving and enabling that behavior and hoping that trickles down into their teams, and using those problem solving skills because our standards of work need to be updated. And before other people would update those, and once we can teach them the problem solving, they will create and update their standard of work
Okay.
again. So we really
Nice.
need to focus on that.
Very good. So I want to encourage again the PDCA, similar to the discussion of the dojo. So if you're doing recruiting and onboarding, like you said, we have a process but not a standard.
Yep.
So then it's how do we measure, and then do we have a formal check back and analyze and then adjust, right?
Which I'll be following up with you to get some information from Hitachi.
That's
that
good.
presentation was
There you
amazing.
go. And link in with Josie. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. All right, Jose.
Hey, first of all, thank you for a great experience. I think all the 3 visits for the different facilities were very eye-opening and a lot of learnings over the last 3 days. I will say one of the main takeaways in terms of behavior and culture is the philosophy of the inverted triangle. Having the culture of removing the obstacles to your next level of the organization and let them know that you're there to enable them for them to do their jobs all the way down to the operator. I think that's one of the main key takeaways. In terms of what I will take back, which was very interesting, is the whole onboarding process. We do sometimes half a day onboarding, 2-day onboarding, and
sounded familiar, huh?
Seeing companies that have 6 weeks onboarding with a very detailed plan, depending on the position, I think is definitely helping in improving turnover, and of course improving engagement, quality, and many different levels.
Awesome.
So that was definitely another takeaway. And another main one, which I really liked, was seeing the flexibility charts in the shop floor on how every team leader has the responsibility to be cross training their members in order to cover for each other, be able to do different roles, different positions, and overall be able to attack bottlenecks and solve issues.
Cool.
That was very interesting.
Thank you. So we have a recurrent theme, right? So onboarding. So I like how you connecting with Josie. So did we send out, if we haven't, Jess, we'll be able to send out everybody's email to each other. Do you have that yet? If you're not okay with that, let Jess know. And if she doesn't hear from you, we'll just send out everybody's email to everybody so that you can connect after this. And again, the onboarding team could, or folks, what you know what I mean? So great. All right, Ricardo.
Well, for me, the takeaway is to invest in training. Okay,
And your
training
people.
is the most important thing here. Okay, mainly in problem solving. Okay, and also spend a lot of time in 5S, reviewing all the processes so we can better standardize them. Okay, so it can be easier to find the problems and do all the PDCA.
Ah, very good.
So without having their standardization on the processes, it's not going to be easy. Okay.
Right. Very good.
And thank you for
Thank
your
you.
experience.
De nada. All right, we got Cesar.
Personally, I strongly believe that it's a responsibility for my part to support the company. The first thing is I look into the interest of the company and the interest of the customer. By working directly with the manufacturing side, with the purchasing side, with the engineering part, and our quality, see how we can build a reliable product to our customer on a timely manner.
There you go.
And low cost. That's my main goal. So I try
That should be all of our goals. High quality, low cost, short.
I try to identify the weakness in our department, and obviously they have been good knowledge provided to me. So I think we have to tackle every area of the company to see how we can support them and bring our employees to the next level, so we can be more efficient in every area that we
Very good.
work. So, because overall, what we're looking is we're working for the profit. We want to grow. We want to bring a capital at the end to make sure they keep growing, maintain the business, and have the customer satisfied. To me, it's the bottom line.
Yep.
And that is my main goal.
All right, very good. So I like, again, we talked about that one with our value stream and our triangle. You know, we said working for the people, the process that then delivers the high quality, low cost, short time to the customer. Well put. All right, we got 2 more. How are we doing on time? That's 17 minutes, so a minute per, you can do it. You're all speaking on your individual, and one of you on the group.
So individually, I think something that really hit me hard in the gut was the idea of disrespecting our employees. And so we talked about it as a team and all the different ways that we're disrespecting them. And I think when I looked at my old leader standard work from a previous company. I don't get that. I don't do that now. So I need time at Gemba, time every day for problem solving, time every day for strategy deployment work. And so I'm going to block those out on my calendar. I'm going to roll out my leader standard work as a director. I'm not going to even ask them to do it yet, and then make sure those things happen. And then also the lunches. So thank you for that idea. So I'm going to have HR book a lunch with every team, at least on a rotation, so I can get to know them a little better, and the birthday cards.
All right, that's okay. They'll get 2 birthday cards.
So for the team, what we're taking back, well, actually, you said it, I think earlier, Mike, focus on the standard work, the 5S, the daily meetings and the 8-step problem solving. And we're actually starting to tackle all 4 in different ways and in different areas. But maybe what we need to do is be a bit more joined up and say, right, we're going for 1 and do that well if we're trying to take on too much. Yeah. So I think we're just reflecting on that. Are we trying to go too fast in too many areas and actually slow down a bit and go faster eventually? So I think that's one. For me, I mean, this has been inspirational and scary in equal measure when you think you've got to go back.
Inspirational and scary.
In equal measure, because you think you do have to go back and try and get a whole organization to understand this and at all different levels. So I think the slide you had on the different layers of management and what we should expect from them, as well as Hoshin and the True North. I'm looking at that as well as everything we need to do on the shop floor. So I love the way you took it from both angles, Mike. And so for me, I'm going to spend time on both of them because I think we need to look at both. That management involved, yeah.
Thank you. Very good. All right.
Mike said everything I was going to say. Thank you. This has been a great week. Awesome. Learned a lot, got to see a lot. I kind of thought I was a pretty good servant leader. I've always been a people first mentality. And to what Mike said earlier, the respect part hit me pretty hard, knowing that, I thought I respected my employees, in which I do, but there was a big piece missing of giving them the right tools, develop them at that level. So yeah, I'm going to schedule the time daily to go and deliberately coach them instead of coaching them during the firefighting.
Right,
so to put the time into that.
Good distinction. I like it. Although we can still use the firefighting, but I like the preventative.
So, for me, it's been a journey being here with you all because I'm not from this country. I'm from Venezuela. I moved here when I was kind of young, and I've worked at multiple medical device companies, and I've seen a lot in a short amount of time. So from my perspective, this is something that everybody in South Florida should be looking at, because we have a little bit of a broken system. There's a shift between companies that's happening, and we have to bring new people from other places to be able to fix that. Now, I wrote down some things here. I think you all said it as well. That part of True North as well. That Hoshin system really clicked with me. What I really enjoyed about this training is that we started with the why, but we explained everything leading up to the Hoshin. And that clicked for me at the end. Okay. Having the red, amber, green cards, actually getting that from the people. So, Abelardo and I were leading the 5S initiative, and he's a supervisor. this guy has a lot of people that he manages right now, and that whole concept of Toyota of 4 to 5 to 1 ratio, we don't have that right now.
That's good.
We don't. So
all right, but
I kind of know where we're headed.
we got to be careful on that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long road.
Go with the role, go with the pilot, staff it through Kaizen.
So I will be brief. In my case, things to take home, right, is the higher Toyo. That's amazing. I think this is a nice idea. The first step that anyone wants to drive when you get in a companies that have a proper training on not being a firefighter, more being a problem solver. And I think I will stick with that in order to make it on time. So
it works for me. Yeah.
First of all, thank you very much. It was very rewarding week. For me, the main elements are to understand the why, to focus on the why. And I think that is if you can manage that and get that through the your people, you're gonna be a better leader. Also, some tools also to be a better coach, and I also have like to be able to ask the right questions. I think that's pretty important.
Very good. Asking questions. Well done. Great, great report out. When we talked about the why on day one, I think Eduardo said, our purpose is saving lives. And I was like, yeah, that's good. I've heard that from the healthcare before. So I was good, but I glossed over it. Telling me about your lead time and telling me about the aortic valves and that some patients need customized ones. And they're in the hospital waiting. And some die if they don't get it in time. And then I asked the current lead time, and it was 54 days. Through the request, the customized design, and the delivery. And so Mike said, we're looking at cutting the lead time in half and how many lives that'll save with the customized aortic valve. So I was inspired at that point in time. They just said they've lost 2 because they weren't able to deliver the valve in time to the hospital. So that's purposeful work. So let's get on it. I'm with you. Well done. All right. Last but not least, I think we're doing great on time. We got 10 minutes left, I think. 5 people.
Okay. I think that for me personally, in our department in HR, we have a lot of processes, but we don't have a lot of standards. We do for onboarding and things like that, but the things that we do every day and we have to do them every week, I don't think we have a lot of good standards for that.
Within HR, you're saying?
Yes, within our department. And so that's a big goal of mine. And then for our company, and still kind of HR as well, we've done a really good job, I think, at upper management showing servant leadership and teaching that mindset. But I think it has stopped at our supervisor level. And I think there's a big gap there. And we do things like supervisor training, and a lot of this material we can incorporate into that. We already have the time. And so now we can teach them material and hopefully continue to break down the wall between production and HR. Because that's been a huge obstacle for us. And like I said, we've done well with the upper management, but we're still kind of stuck at the supervisor level. And then promoting the problem solving at team member level. That's a huge gap.
There you go.
That we have.
Tell RJ that one. That's good. Both of those are good. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for this experience. I know it's been very enlightening for me because I'm from old school Hitachi, and so Jeff and RJ come in here with all these new ideas and what they're going to do. And it was a tough pill to swallow. I'm not going to lie, but just a little and a little, and you could see the changes. And then to actually go to Toyota and actually see how it all fits together, it kind of just put it all together of what they're trying to do. And I really think in my position that because I come from old school, and we still have a lot of old school,
Yeah.
I'll be able to go on the floor and hopefully the old school people interpret what I saw and,
There you go.
take that back to the floor and say, hey, look, this is why he's wanting to do this.
Neat. To help with the why.
To help, yeah.
Thank you. Juan.
Yeah, yes. For me, was something interesting because we've been working with this system and we've been using the tools, but sometimes the tools itself are not showing consistency in the way that we are using. And I think that the greatest insight that I obtained from this training was exactly trying to understand the purpose and invest in the people, in the training of the people, more time to understand the purpose, and sometimes more than the technique itself.
Yeah.
So if they understand the purpose, I think it's going to be easier for them to embrace what we've been asking to do in the different levels of the organization.
Very good.
That would be basically. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Bring us home, EZG.
So for me, it was kind of like over there. I've been guilty of just giving the answer instead of, supporting the guys below me to come up with their own decisions and problem solving. So that's something I'm going to be working on, and something that resonated with me was the servant leadership idea of that, and looking at it from a whole different perspective. Instead of the guys working for me, I'm actually working for them.
Yeah,
So that's
nice.
something that I want to make sure that they know on the floor also. So
Great.
thank
Good
you.
one. Thanks. All right. Wrapping us up.
Yeah, for me, I think we have a really great culture at EZG, and I think the things that I need to continue to do is to enhance. It's a good family, right? So that, especially new hires, getting to see them, making people a daily commitment, making that good connection and keeping that flowing. I think that's one positive our company is already doing. And since I'm a bit new, I need to make sure that continues throughout, right? And then the development of that. And then for us though too, we're just getting started on things. So the FMDS,
okay,
right? So getting that visualization to everyone on the floor. We have a lot of guys assembling and welding and doing all this fabricating, right? With the purpose every day to do it and do it again the next day. And what do they see, and how well do we communicate the bigger picture and the goals of the facility of the company? So
all right,
that's going to be our system.
So you're going back with action. Fantastic. I didn't miss anybody, did I? I sometimes do. Thank you all for doing that. Again, you heard the good positive action. So now you have to help each other, and you have to help, within your company. That's also why I like when companies come as a group and a team, because then you can go back, you can meet as a group, do your PDCA. Also, even I hope on your individual behaviors, you can say no good Rick son or no good Matt son, to each other. Right?
The best inside joke ever.
Because again, I wouldn't have been doing it if I didn't have somebody saying no good Mike son. So help each other with that. And then again, like you're talking on the networking with your takeaways, hopefully you'll do that. We'll get you the emails. I think Ben put on the eval and things for follow-up. We're here to support you. So again, whether it's this or we're having another training, one of these in October. So if you want to send other teams to that, then that's a resource. I'm happy to, again, email me with questions. Email me. I think you want the poster from Hitachi, so I'll get that and get that sent out. We want to be a resource. FocusIn and Ben's group. Now we've got John and that coordination and collaboration. So again, we're wanting to provide resources to you all on the journey, right? Because we want the win-win, and we want to save lives, want to develop people. All right, so that concludes our training. We're to the green, I believe. We got a couple minutes to spare, 3 minutes. It doesn't always happen. So thank you all for your engagement. Thank you all for being on time, and safe travels, and go forth and do PDCA is how I always finish the. Thank you all. Very good. All right, 3